everybody, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I am Kelly Hogan, and I have a room full of people here today, and these are all longtime carnivores, all women over age 50, and I am here with ladies that I have known, some of them more than a decade, and I could not be more excited to talk to all of you. Hi, ladies!
Hi!
Hi!
Dana, tell them a little about yourself.
Well, I started ZC when I just turned 41. I'm soon to be 54. So almost 13 years. I started going through menopause like 45 or 46. So I was about 5 years into ZC before I went through that. And so it was a kind of a breeze for me. Nothing bad really happened. I had a few hot flashes in 18 months and I was done.
That's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
Seriously, we're going to get into more details of that, but truly, you just don't hear that very often.
Yeah, I was like, that's it.
Wow.
You know, people say it's this horrible and all these things are going to happen. And, you know, the hot flash thing was kind of, I could count on one hand probably how many I had. I was food shopping and my forearms broke out in a sweat. I'm like, oh, this must be a hot flash.
And you said 12 years carnivore, correct?
Yeah, almost 13. It'll be 13 in the first of the year.
And also, Dana is the administrator, moderator, ZeroCarbHealth.com and the Facebook group, Zero Carb. Yeah, and we have moderated some together before, and Dana was there when I first discovered zeroing in on health. You and Charles were there, leaders of that group. So you were absolutely influential as I was very first even hearing that this was a thing. It was, yeah. So it's a great honor to have you on here. All right, Cindy, you're next.
Oh, me. All right. Well, I'm Cindy, and I am 59 years old, and I started Zero Carb in March of 2015, so 5.5 years ago. I went through menopause 10 months before I started ZC. I haven't had a lot of negative, but I do have hot flashes, and I still have hot flashes. I asked the doctor when they'd go away. She said, who knows?
Cindy and I, we are both moderators, administrators over at Zeroing In on Health, so interact a lot, right? We are frequently messaging each other and just, you know, trying to figure out, should we delete this post? Should we comment? Should we close comments? You know, there's just a lot of interaction that happens there. So, oh, and you are the person who admits.
That's my thing. That's why I don't comment much.
You basically work the pearly gates, right?
When I comment, I think I sound like Dana.
Well, I think they're both very pleasant, but I think it very much helps to know you. And so I think when people watch videos like this and they can hear it in your voice, to understand that you're coming from a place of experience and helping, and not because you're dogmatic and being a food Nazi.
Right.
We could care less what anyone eats. It's just that we've seen what works so well for people, and we want them to be free from cravings and to get all that junk out of their systems. And we just want health and happiness and freedom for people. All right. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Kelly.
You have been on the show before. You and I talked all about social situations, and I've gotten a lot of feedback on how helpful that has been to people. So tell people about yourself.
So, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, I've been in practice for 30 years as an optometric physician. I found Zero Carb, Carnivore, 11.5 years ago when I came across the Zeroing In on Health forum that Charles Washington was running. So I was 44 at the time, and I'm 55 now. And I am currently just starting to go through menopause. So that's where I'm at. I guess I can be representative of middle of the road going through it now in the group here.
There are so many women have been writing to me to say, oh my gosh, I'm dying. What am I doing wrong? What can I fix? What's this supposed to be like? I'm 41, so I have nothing really to offer here when it comes to what it's like to go through menopause on or off carnivore. I have lots of carnivore experience, 11 years next month, but I don't know anything about menopause yet, but I want to learn from you because I'm headed there. I want to know. Thank you, Lisa. Elizabeth Stern. So we hang out on Zeroing In on Health quite a bit, and you show up to answer questions daily, just daily put in time to try to help people. So tell folks about yourself.
I have been carnivore almost 3 years. I came to it from keto. I was doing well, but not as well as I wanted. Went through menopause about 10 years ago. So it was before keto or carnivore. Was very fortunate. I didn't have a whole lot of issues with it. I never really had strong hormones, so it was sort of a breeze. Never had night sweats or anything like that. I think maybe having 4 children and nursing them 12 years between them helped. I did use a little progesterone cream for about a year, but because I heard it was good, but didn't seem to make any difference.
Okay, so it really wasn't a massive issue for you. And one of the reasons I invited you here, Elizabeth, is I frequently hear from women who ask me, is carnivore safe for women over age 50? Now, I'm not sure why women have it in their head that it wouldn't be safe. I don't hear that from men. It's not like a bunch of men are saying, is it safe for men over age 50? But women have a very frequent concern that after age 50 or 60, they should not start something like this. Share the difference it's made in your health and life.
Well, I've lost a lot of weight on keto, but I didn't feel good. I just felt old and creaky, and I couldn't even get out of a chair without holding on to something, even after losing weight. It gave me back muscle. It gave me back my strength. It gave me back the joy of life again. Having flexibility, I couldn't go up a flight of stairs. Now I can easily take 3 flights of stairs, which may not be a big deal to some people, but where I was 20 years ago to where I am now is night and day. I'm a different person.
So we have all watched the interview from Dr. Jamie Seaman, also known as Dr. Fit and Fabulous. And I think we can all agree she is lovely, smart, gorgeous, fun, right? I love her. One thing that she discussed quite a bit was the hormone replacement therapy. And I know that Elizabeth mentioned that she used a little bit of progesterone. You said a cream?
Yes.
Okay. Did the rest of you use any type of hormone therapy?
I thought I was estrogen dominant, so I got some progesterone cream. In the meantime, I had my hormones tested, and I didn't have any hormones. It turns out I had adrenal fatigue. I had no cortisol. I had no nothing. And it kind of explained a lot of things that were happening to me at the time. I was going through a ton of like over the top stress. Progesterone, didn't really need it. Did help me sleep, but I mostly thought I don't really think it did anything. It was just a short period of time, but it was not for menopause symptoms. It's because I was gaining weight. But that didn't help.
This was happening while you were carnivore, correct?
Oh, yeah. Like 5 years in. Yeah, I lost 50 pounds, and then I didn't change anything, didn't change my diet. And I don't know if it was menopause or the adrenal fatigue and why I started gaining.
And you did end up cutting back some on fat levels and upping proteins.
Yeah, after about 3 years of gaining, and I tried everything. You name it, I tried it, and nothing worked. And I don't know what possessed me. The bear said that he had to cut back on fat when he got older. There's been people throughout the years that have said the same thing in our groups, that they had to cut back. So I thought, maybe it's a thing, and well, it was for me because I started losing weight immediately as soon as I cut out the ribeyes. Because I ate ribeyes every day. And so then I just switched up to pork and fish and chicken. I just kind of rotate different meats. And I just started losing weight instantly. And I've been losing weight for 3 years still.
That is really interesting. Did you change? You said you thought maybe stress had been messing up your adrenals. Did you make any changes at that point?
Yes, but not with my food. It's just with my life. I had a super stressful life. I didn't even know it was stressful until my dad was like, well, your whole life's been stressful. That was my normal, but it got over the top. It got really bad, and I just crashed. The thing that made me realize something was wrong is I got poison oak on my face really bad, and I had it for 2 years. It wouldn't go away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And as soon as I'd go get prednisone, it would go away, and 2 days after the cycle, it would come raging back. That's because I had no cortisol. My adrenals were shot. I couldn't produce cortisol. And I also developed histamine issues because it's all related.
Did you have to do any medical intervention to fix any of this or just life changes?
There is no medical intervention. You just have to learn to relax. That was hard.
I was talking to Judy Cho yesterday. I think all of you probably know who she is. She runs the site Nutrition with Judy. She watched the video, and she has definitely many times through the years said that she is not a supporter of using hormone replacement therapies. She is a total carnivore, by the way, and has been for quite some time. She has just almost finished writing a book called Carnivore Cure, and she said, I discussed this in the book, and she sent me a graphic. It's the causes of endocrine disruption, which is basically it's just ruining your adrenals. All this is about is messing up your adrenals. And she says the number one thing that will mess up your adrenals is exactly what Dana was saying, and that is stress. That stress can wreck them. So she says that menopause is when your ovaries are retiring and your adrenals are intended to take over at that point to take care of sex hormones. But she says that taking things like estrogen is dragging this process out, which is a totally natural a process where the adrenals need to take over. She says that the women who do really well making this transition, or the change, as we all love to call it, that women who do really well had healthy adrenals to start with, typically. And so I said, well, tell us some hacks. What do they need to do? She thoroughly believes in cutting out all the things that we've already cut out. She is a huge believer in fatty meats, or just meats. She's not necessarily pushing high fat, but just fatty meats, avoiding stress, trying to avoid, she agreed on the plastics and just environmental toxins. However you can control that. Some of us just live where we live, but she thinks that plays a part. Drink plenty of water, get good sleep, and get sunshine. She also thinks that eating fish can help. She likes the idea of eating fish for the adrenals. I'm assuming it's because of all the fish oils, the fats in it. So she feels like, of course, that helped your adrenals to take over and get you through menopause and start losing weight. What do y'all think about all that?
For me, just kind of starting to go through this, I mean, I don't know. I have to feel that maybe being carnivore as long as I have been prior to this maybe helped extend my hormone producing lifespan of my body. I haven't experienced anything really negative that would drive me to say, wow, what can I do? What can I take? I do feel, obviously, it's a natural body process and it's something that we'll just go through. I know Jamie Seaman said about it's sort of just look at it as a biohacking type entity instead of a medication, but I'm still anti putting anything in my body when I feel like I'm feeding it the optimal diet and it's going to do the change it's going to do. I guess I haven't really looked into it because I'm not experiencing anything negative. I mean, I still feel like I have energy. I don't have mental fog. So I think without something that I would be diligently trying to correct, I'm not looking to do anything. So I'm always open-minded about everything. So I like to hear her viewpoint because she said, if she's looking at it as like it's a biohack to help improve things that you might not know needed to be improved to feel better. But in my mind, I don't want to take something where I have to have maybe floating in my head somewhere like, ooh, boy, I hope this doesn't give me breast cancer. I don't know. Maybe it is for some people and not for others. Like, obviously, it's an individual decision, but it's not something that I feel that not being symptomatic of anything, why would I even risk any of the potential side effects of it?
Yeah, that makes sense for me too. I mean, it's like Tylenol has been tested for many, many years on millions of humans by now, but I still don't like taking something if my body is telling me something, right? Like if my head is hurting, I would rather get to the source of, do I need water? Do I need sleep? Like, what's happening? And sort of try to work it out that way instead of let me just pop some Tylenol and cover it up. Now, I think she would probably say that's not the same thing as Tylenol.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think that the women who suffer through menopause, that's just another manifestation of metabolic syndrome where they're just unhealthy. Their bodies aren't functioning properly. So now when they're going through this change, it's harder for them. Some of those wild things that these women go through, the mood swings, I don't think that's the way we're supposed to go through menopause. It just doesn't make sense that we're supposed to suffer like that. Like I said, for me, it was like nothing. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. And I agree with Judy about if you're going to take estrogen, you're prolonging the inevitable. You have to stay on it forever. There's a woman in our group who's in her 70s and wants to get off of it, but she has hot flashes. I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it until it's out of your system. You're gonna have hot flashes when you get off estrogen. I'm like, Lisa, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't see what estrogen could possibly do for me. I'm happy. I feel better now than I did when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Wow.
No mood swings, no, life is just calmer. You don't have all the hormones up and down stuff. They're just gone. Thank God.
I'm very happy for your husband, Dana. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Dana. I haven't taken anything either. And Lisa, I don't feel like it's necessary. I think you're going through a normal part of your life. And yeah, I do have hot flashes and I have a lot of them. So maybe I'm a good candidate for them, but I don't have the mood swings and I am pretty level, ZC Zen, so to speak.
Yeah.
My life can be stressful, but I think also just with age, you learn to cope with that easier anyway. So, obviously some people don't because they are eating poorly and they have all these symptoms, and that's not me.
So one thing that Dr. Jamie Seaman did say was that women who are not eating properly, not sleeping properly, in a bad environment, who have all of these toxic things going on, she said that they would actually be a very bad candidate for this estrogen replacement because it's like pouring lighter fluid on a fire. But what I'm hearing y'all say is, but if your adrenals are already in good shape and you are eating properly, and you're taking care of your body, especially if you've been at this for a while and your body is already healthy, you still probably really shouldn't need to take anything.
Right. You shouldn't have to take it.
Yeah.
No. My doctor even was like Elizabeth's, where when I first started menopause, I said, can I get my hormones tested? And she said, there's no point. You are going through menopause. That's what you're doing. You see what symptoms you have, and then we'll go from there. And she even agreed that it didn't seem necessary.
So ever since that last interview with Dr. Fit and Fabulous came out, I have gotten hundreds of replies. And it's been cool to hear their response. Now, you have to keep in mind, some of these are total carnivores, and some are just women who happened upon a video about hormones. And I got comments all the way from, I'm so glad you talked about this because HRT absolutely changed my life. I love it so much. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then to people who said, oh, I really would not recommend it. I tried it and it was absolutely not for me. You know that we are like the meat and water girls, right? We are keep it simple. If meat and water can't fix it, you're probably just wrong. So
that's true.
Yes, that's really how we can be. And I do think for the most part, that is true. And if it's not true for you yet, that means you just haven't done it long enough. Seriously, eat meat, drink water, just do it longer. And I think a lot of stuff will get fixed. But in the meantime, I also know that when I pose the question in a carnivore group, what questions do you have about menopause? And I know y'all read some of those. It was like, oh, y'all got a lot of questions. Some people are struggling. Now, some people say, I've been carnivore a whole 45 minutes and I'm not healed yet. So patience. That's one thing. Seriously. If you have spent 50 years crashing your adrenals with awful diet, poor sleep, stress, carbs, sugars, and now suddenly it's menopause and you think, I'm going to start eating some meat and hopefully by the hour I'll feel better. No.
It takes a couple of years, and it's hard to, I get it. It's hard to tell somebody, go on this diet in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You'll lose weight and feel great. It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
If somebody told me that, 13 years ago, it's going to take you, all these years, I wouldn't have even tried. It's just, but it is what it is. Now that, we've been on this diet for this long, 5 years is like nothing because there were so many changes for me in the first 3 years. So, it just takes a long time to undo decades of damage. You can't expect anything to happen in just a couple months or even a year. It's a good 3 years you need. And I know people hate hearing that.
I don't know about y'all. I still feel changes in my own body even now, 11 years in. Like, I still see things improving and changing. Don't y'all?
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also you have to think about truly then what's the alternative if somebody says, oh my God, 3 years? Okay, well, go back to the way you were eating and then continue further damage.
Yeah.
And then jump on again. It doesn't make sense. That's one thing I frequently talk about to people is patience. I say, this is like a huge freighter that's been cranking along for 4, 5, even 6 decades. Now, all of a sudden, you're feeding the optimal human diet that's not inflammatory, that's healing. But this freighter is not going to flip on a dime. It's going to make this slow, gradual turn. You just have to be patient and go along with the ride. That's real. Enjoy the ride. Just go with it and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, just make the decision. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how it's going to be, and just do it. Get through it. For me, it was the easiest diet ever. I mean, all you can eat meat and cheese and eggs, and what's not to like? You just got to make the decision to do it and quit whining and crying and screaming and just eat the meat.
I don't have that testament. I mean, I'm probably 5 pounds down in 3 years from where I was. I gained it first, and then Dana convinced me to eat more. And when I did, I dropped that weight in a couple pounds. But even after almost 3 years, I'm pretty much the same weight as when I started. But I'm down 2 sizes in my jeans.
Wow.
And 3 inches lost in my waist.
Wow.
So something's changing, but I also know I'm the lightest weight, other than starving myself, like fasting for 12 days when I got divorced when I was 40. I'm the lightest I've been since I was about 18 years old. So we're talking 45 years of being well over 200 pounds.
Wow.
My body may not want to be much smaller. Maybe eventually. Charles was mentioning that there's one woman in the group that after 10 years carnivore, all of a sudden she started losing some weight.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours. She's been in one of us for 10 years or so, Terry Rogers. Yeah. I see her every year or so.
She's in California, right?
Yeah, my grandmother's in San Diego, so sometimes I'll go see her down there when she's down there. And she's just getting
smaller. That y'all hung out. We call her Cyber Mom. She's like our meat mom.
Our den mother. Yeah. She just gets smaller and smaller. She just keeps losing weight. I mean, she's tiny. She's so cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Terry.
And she's in her 70s.
Hey, Terry. I love you. Folks who are listening, are you hearing this? Terry has been doing this for years. But she didn't focus on the scale. She was feeling better. We're not saying it's going to take years to feel better. Most people, it may take a few weeks because the first couple of weeks are rough. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to see improvements in your skin, in your moods, in your energy. Not at first. Your energy might plummet at first, and you might have to run to the bathroom 50 times a day for a little bit. But then, after the first couple of weeks, people do start to feel better. And that's why we say focus on health. It's got to be about your health because that scale can take a long time to move. And I know that all of us probably every day see people comment, why am I not losing weight? And we'll usually ask them, okay, well, how long have you been doing this? And it's usually not long at all. And we say, well, how long have you been overweight? My entire life. Oh, okay. Well, your body wants to do what before it drops weight? Your body wants to heal. Your body doesn't care about your pant size as much as it cares about getting healthy. So if you've got stuff that needs to be fixed inside, like for me, it was my menstrual cycle. I had none and I was getting boils. Inflammation was high. Then your body cares more about that than it does, we should get super skinny. Which doesn't really benefit your health as much as just improving inflammation and things. And this will improve inflammation. You're going to see benefits, but the scale could take a while. And Elizabeth, that's a great point. Who cares what a scale says? You know what's so weird is we all worry so much about the scale. Who sees your scale? Only you. Right. Only you see your scale. But your face, your waistline even, your appearance, your happiness, your moods, the whole world sees all of that every day. They don't know what the scale says. So the fact that Elizabeth has lost 3 inches, people are going to see that. But don't you feel like sometimes people would almost trade and be like, yeah, but the scale didn't move? Like, who would know? So don't tell people.
Right.
My doctor, who's been following me for 8 years now,
Uh-huh.
saw me at my worst, has said I've reversed 4 decades of metabolic damage.
Oh,
Man, that's awesome.
She's become a low-carb doctor because of me. She just shakes her head. She can't believe that simple lifestyle change can show so much improvement in somebody's lab work.
Wow, that's cool.
I feel fortunate that I found this so long ago that I could go through this at least, 11 years into being carnivore before I even started going through this. It really has not affected me. I've had maybe a couple, what I might consider hot flashes, not anything that I was ripping my clothes off and fanning myself over, though. It's just like, it was like a feeling of like, ooh, is it hot in here? Is it just me kind of thing? And that was it. So nothing that I feel is in any way debilitating or life altering in anything for me of what I do. So again, there's no incentive for me to try to change anything or even biohack something.
Yeah. You're a doctor, so I'm assuming your life is not purely stress-free, Lisa.
No, and I actually feel like my job has been extremely stressful since after the shutdown from quarantine, because the practice I work for shut down for 3 months, and I was fully booked with patients those 3 months. And I was also fully booked for 4 months after that time period. So now we have all these patients that now need to get put in the schedule, and it's just really hectic because every day I have the same people who call in with an emergency, an infection, an injury, a loss of vision that have to get put on the schedule, that get double booked. And I honestly come home from work really stressed out. Part of this whole lifestyle of carnivore is trying to really figure out how to handle stress, because I think the majority of us turned to it might have been another addiction initially of, might have been alcohol, drugs, gambling, whatever.
Amazon.com, does that count?
Yeah, that counts. Nothing. But I think that so many of us have this sugar, carb, processed food addiction that we have to figure out another thing to turn to when you have anxiety or anger or boredom or stress. I think that's really a problem all the time is actually figuring out how you're going to handle stress, because there's always going to be stress in our lives, always. And I hate when people use that excuse. Well, I was going through a tough time with my family. Oh, I was going through a tough time with school. Well, you know what? That's what this is all about, is staying so solid in not turning to your sugar and carb addiction and figuring out another way to handle that, because it's always going to be there. So I say you're either going to keep roller coastering back into your addiction and using that as the crutch, or you're going to figure out another way. And some people, and unfortunately, and I'm hoping it's not going to happen for me, but I do, when I listen to Dana, I am concerned about cortisol issues and adrenal crash and things like that, because no matter what you do, is think, oh, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna take up yoga, and I'm gonna exercise more. Time constrictions, sometimes those things end up causing more stress. I'm trying to help people on Instagram, and I'm trying to, not be stressed out at work, and I'm trying to keep up with social interactions, and it's very stressful. And it's just more of a lesson for me to keep consistently and persisting in trying to find out what that other outlet is for me, so that I don't end up burning and crashing.
Yeah, the biggest...
Frequently taking walks on the beach, cartwheeling down the beach, you hot little thing, hot little mama. I know your job must be terribly stressful, and you do answer questions like all 5 of us on the screen. It's like meat questions all day, every day. It does get stressful. I know it's nothing we have to do, but we want to do it, and we enjoy it. But, when people are asking for help, that's a constant little poke, 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 poke. And it can start to add up when you've got, real life stuff going on too. But then I do see that you incorporate lots of movement into your life. Sunshine. I see you just walking on sunny beaches. It looks like it would be a good de-stressor anyway.
Yes, definitely, for sure. And I do try to follow, the protocol similar to what Dr. Seaman was saying of always emphasizing vitamin D and UV exposure. I think that's really important, just to get outside, to connect with nature, number one, but also at the same time getting that UV. Trying to do, sleep hygiene type things and figuring that all out. And weight bearing exercise. I'm very diligent about knowing that has to be part of my life, the rest of my life. I think no matter what, there is always trying to make a balance in your life. And that's really what it comes down to, is just not getting overwhelmed, not sweating the small stuff. I mean, there's so many things that you could let get to you, and you have to make the decision that it's not worth it. And, I would say without your health, you have nothing. So it's making that a priority.
Agreed. And Dana, I see you hiking. You hike a lot, right?
Yeah, well, that's part of the stress thing, is you have to have an outlet for the stress. And prior to me crashing my adrenals, I didn't work out for a good 2-3 years. And I think that was part of my problem, is I quit working out for the first time in my life. And I needed the workouts for the stress release. And my hikes are hard. I purposely pick strenuous, straight up the mountain hikes. Then I run down so that my quads are just on fire, for the next week, because it just feels good to get, out there all by myself in nature and climbing a hill, and climbing a mountain. And
I'd be rolling down the hill if I tried to run down a hill.
Yes.
I use poles, and for me, it's kind of like snow skiing, because you kind of get a rhythm, and I use the poles so I don't kill myself.
I would love to see a video of this, Dana.
Probably not going to happen. No, I always hike alone.
Okay. All right, Cindy, word is you've got a story for me.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
So this is 3 days before I started ZC. Okay. I'm keeping track of my hot flashes. I'm trying to figure out what it is that's making me have hot flashes, seeing if I can do anything different that's going to change them. Let me tell you, unfortunately, nothing changes them. But at least for me, ZC, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It did wonders for so many things. The doctor had told me, oh, you're just getting older and you're going to have these pains. You're going to have these aches. It's just a way, it's your life. It's your age. You're getting older and that's just the way it is. Well, she was wrong. That's not true. So, but I do want to share this. So this is my journal from 3 days before I started ZC. Okay. Had pies and donuts. I had a hot flash. Nothing at work. And then I had toffee, chocolate, macadamia nuts, and working at my desk. Wow. And then a little while later, I didn't have one. And then I had cookies, watching TV. Perfect. And then I had a little later, I had pasta. Girl. And same day. Oh. All the next day. The next one is I had a bowl of cereal. That's the end of the night, and I had all those hot flashes, and those weren't on all of them. Those were the ones that day. Yeah. My days looked like that. That's my journals. I have them for weeks. Those are my journals, and I just, I hear it all the time. I can never do that diet. I couldn't eat that. I'm too much of a carb addict. Yep. Baloney. Yeah. It's so not true. I was such a carb addict. I planned my vacations around carbs. It's so not true. And this has been a godsend.
You're right. I do hear that all the time. Oh, I can't. I have such a sweet tooth. I'm like, hello? You think we didn't?
Right.
There was a reason I was over 260 pounds, and it wasn't because I liked vegetables.
Right.
That wasn't my issue. By the way, for those of you at home, we have had a few technical difficulties. It's basically just me being still kind of a rookie. I feel like I have been doing this YouTube thing for a while, but truly it just started this year and I am still learning. So here we are, and they've been very patient with me, and I hope y'all are still my friends.
Of course.
Okay,
I love you, Kelly.
Y'all have to say that because I'm recording you right now. It's okay. Time will tell if it's really true. Okay, I'm going to let each one of you, before we close this up, with final remarks. I would like to hear if you have any final words that you want to give? Just picture there are women at home who are either about to go through menopause, they've started now, they realize changes are coming, or maybe they've already made it through and they're just watching this because they're cool. But talk to them for just a minute. Elizabeth, what would you say to them?
I want to just talk about the weight thing again, because that seems to be the number one thing on everybody's mind. They hear about this all meat diet and they see pictures of people that drop 100 pounds in 3 months, and that's what's going to happen. And then it doesn't for most of them. And it's their hormones and they have to heal. But I asked them, do you want to lose a lot of weight or do you want to lose fat? Do you want your triglycerides to maybe get cut in half like mine? Have your HDL climb 20 points like mine? Drop 2 pant sizes? Be able to go up 3 flights of stairs where you couldn't do that before? I mean, what about your quality of life?
Yeah.
Who cares what the scale says? And eventually that may happen. If so, great. But what's your goal?
That's solid. I
What's
like
your goal?
that. It's good. Keep your focus on what's important. And if you do it long enough, I'm with you. We see it all the time. I mean, there are tons of people who start and immediately do drop weight. You normally hear from them on and on because they're just happy and out there eating meat. Right?
Right.
Occasionally, I'll get emails from people I've never even heard of, and they'll say, I've been doing carnivore for 3 years. It's wonderful. Just eating meat, lost 130, 30 pounds. You're like,
yeah.
What? You've just been out there doing this for 3 years? So it does happen. But when it's not happening for people, yes, Elizabeth, there's so much else to focus on. Good advice. All right, Dana, what you got, girl?
Yeah. Most people that start this diet do lose weight. Most people are successful. It's just you don't hear from them. They go on with their lives, and it's just the few that don't, that are screaming the loudest, and they scare a lot of people. People hear that, oh, I'm gonna gain weight, or even the adaptation symptoms. I never had those.
No.
I never had fatigue, or Charles didn't either. We started eating meat and everything was dandy.
Yeah.
But people hear about all these other problems, and I think sometimes they focus on that, so that they end up having problems just because that's what they're focusing on. You get what you focus on.
It's almost a self-defeating thing because you get so stressed out waiting for the bad thing that then it does sort of happen because you just stressed yourself out over it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to gain weight, well, yeah, if you're thinking about gaining weight, you're going to gain weight.
Yeah, like, breathe, get a little hobby.
Just relax, eat the meat, and, live your life and quit obsessing over every little thing. Just relax, eat the meat, enjoy it.
Yes. You and Charles always used to say, not to just everybody, but specifically even to me when I first started and I was not losing weight, y'all would say, girl, get a hobby and get a flowy dress. And I was like, a flowy dress. And you're like, yeah. So you stop focusing on every little tiny pinch here and there. Stay off of that scale. Do something that's fun. Relax. If this is all so hormonal, and it is, right? And it is, then you've got to do these things to relax these hormones. All right, Dr. Lisa.
Well, so I'm going to just continue my mantra that I always say with my carnivore tribe: be patient, enjoy the journey, just enjoy the positive changes that happen along the way. I said, 6 months to a year down the road, if there's something maybe minor to tweak based on, how you're feeling or what's happening, all right, let's maybe, talk about it. But for the most part, I mean, you can't expect a quick fix out of this.
Yep. All right, Cindy, we took all the good stuff. What are you even going to say?
Oh, that's easy, actually. I think you really need to not lie to yourself. Take responsibility for yourself. I hear all the time, well, I don't have any health problems. All I need is to lose weight.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm taking this medicine for this and I'm taking this medicine for that. And, well, then you do have medical problems. You don't lie to yourself. And the other thing is to treat yourself, you would treat your best friend, is, when they come to you and ask you for advice, what would you tell them? What would you do? You want them to do the best for their health. Do the same for yourself. Just, this is a great, at least it's been for me. ZC has saved me. I can't even stress that enough. And, you deserve it. That's what I would want to say.
Yes. And I love, I think, Lisa, you were the one that said earlier, what other option is there? And I remember y'all had said that to me too, Dana, back in the day when I was debating on like, should I even keep doing this? And y'all said, what else are you going to do? Go back to what you were doing and that you know for 25 years didn't work? Oh, well, yeah, there's that. Like, you know, folks, you know what you've been doing doesn't work. So maybe you've tried this for a little while and you're open-minded enough that you've given this all meat, crazy carnivore thing a try, or maybe you're just considering it. But if what you're doing isn't working, what Cindy is saying is you owe it to yourself to try something new. Just try something new and give it time. Be patient and don't just focus on that scale, Elizabeth. Be patient, like Lisa said, and find ways to seriously just focus on your health and staying calm and let those hormones balance, like Dana said. And then if you have done all of these things for an extended amount of time, you've cut out all of the carbs and you've tried to fix your environment and you're trying to get good sleep, and maybe you're happily married and trying to have great sex and you're trying to get sunshine and you're doing all of the things, right? And after a long period of this, if things are not improving, then I do think, you know, Dr. Jamie Seaman gave some things that you could try. She works with many patients and she has certainly, well, she's been a gynecologist for a lot longer than I have, I'll put it that way, which is none. So I think that she has given some options for people. But what I love about this talk is y'all saying, you know what? These aren't even necessarily symptoms. This is just part of life. And it isn't even that bad if your adrenals are in a good place and your health is in a good place. I don't really love menopause being called like symptoms. It implies that you're sick. When really I think it's just a natural part, a natural change. And if it's parts of your life that you can easily get through while just doing it by making some lifestyle changes, then awesome, right?
Right.
And if it's not, then maybe you need to look at other things. Sort of like if I did have a headache in changing my diet and this and this and this, if I work on all those things and I'm drinking all my water and I still have a headache, then at some point, I have taken Tylenol before. There are options out there. But I think the point of this chat is you may not need them at all. Like, take control of the things that you can control, and you may just go breezing through this. You guys give me much hope for whatever time down the road that I will be making this great, beautiful change of life. And you make it look easy. Y'all look fantastic. And when I see you out, I see Cindy taking hikes and Dana hiking up and all right. So we haven't actually seen Dana hiking. I'd like to. I've seen your pictures and I see Lisa cartwheeling down the beach and Elizabeth with all of your happy pictures. I've seen pictures of you down in the floor with your grandkids, which you said there was no way you could have done before. No. This is what I want for my future. And I know this is what women want for their lives. They need to see that over 50 is not a death sentence to sitting in a moo-moo, you know, obese and watching your stories on TV. Like, y'all have a life. And it's beautiful and you're happy and healthy. And that's all we want for people.
Right.
Yeah. I love y'all. I love the fact that you're all out there, every single one of you. Every day I see you commenting, replying, posting your Insta stories, Lisa. You have a YouTube channel, Lisa, with, you know, you post carnivore recipes. I see Dana updating the blog on her website and having carnivore apparel so we feel like we're part of a group, right? It's important. People, you are not alone. If you want to try this craziness with us, you have support. There are groups out there. If zeroing in on health or zero carb health is not exactly right for you, there are a lot of carnivore groups out there. Find your people. And you've got folks like us who are happy to try to help. We hope this is helpful to you. And I am so grateful to each of you ladies for all you do and for coming on this channel. So thank you for being my friend. I hope that still is true.
Of course it is.
Thanks for having us, Kelly. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Dana. Bye, Cindy.
Bye.